Hey everybody, Joe Stapp here. Welcome to the Joe Pop Podcast. This next guest I think you're really going to enjoy, Alex Chatman. He's a former Devil Dawg, former pilot, and now he's a minister, a pastor. And so, pretty cool story. We got a few curveballs in here for you. Do me a favor, if you're enjoying the podcast, be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Be sure to give me a thumbs up. And if you're listening to this on Spotify or what other listening venue you choose to use, please leave a comment. Once again, give me a thumbs up. Tell me if I'm doing good. Tell me if I'm doing bad. Either way. And this will all help out our ratings and help us build our audience. So once again, thank you for your support. I appreciate it, and I hope you enjoy the show. Hey everybody, welcome to the Joe Pop Podcast, and today I have got Alex Chatman, presently a minister,
Pastor,
formerly America's favorite cult, the United States Marine Corps, and
right.
We got a few other surprises in there too that we'll bring up. But once again, this is going to be episode number 8. This is the mobile version of the Joe Pop Podcast, so we will see how it goes, and we will see if Alex Chatman is a backseat driver.
Actually, not a backseat driver. As a matter of fact, I'm a man of faith, and I sometimes put too much faith in the people who are driving, but in this case, I trust this guy.
Okay, yeah. Inshallah, as they say over in the Middle East.
Yes.
Whatever God wills. So, all right, man. So, you and me met, gosh, how long has it been now? 7 months? 8 months?
At least 7+ months, as we came down here physically to start a church here in Crestview, Florida. So that's where our relationship began, not only with you, but also with several members of your family.
Right. So, time flies.
Yes.
As it's often said, hey, the days are long, but the years are oh so short.
Yep.
So, all right. So, per our discussion, we'll go ahead and press with this. And like I said, I want people to get to know you.
Okay.
I want them to get to know you on a kind of an intimate level as to, hey, where does Alex Chatman come from? So I think I read something about Pennsylvania.
Yes, sir.
We'll kick it off there. So tell me about your folks.
Okay, well, one of the good things about growing up in Pennsylvania is the fact that sometimes you grow up in the best side, west side. So, grew up in right outside of Pittsburgh in a town called Washington, Pennsylvania. Now, when my mom heard me explain that, she was like, "Why don't you just tell people you're from Washington?" I said, "Mom, that doesn't work. I've been in around the world, and when you tell somebody you're from Washington, they go, 'Oh, DC.' No,
Yeah, or the state.
yeah,
I'm
or
like,
the state." I
what,
went,
Tacoma, dude.
"Yeah,
Hey, okay.
no, where? Washington, Pennsylvania. Where's that? Right outside of Pittsburgh." Oh, and so I just cut off all that precursor and go straight to the Pittsburgh area.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Now, when people find out that you grew up in Pittsburgh in the 70s, they always ask, "Are you a Steeler fan?" Of course. And the really interesting thing is, as you grow up to be a Steeler fan, especially at the age of like 10, it seems like, there was a 4-year stretch where these Super Bowls were just happening. And then soon after that, there was no more Super Bowls. Like, what's wrong? We're in the city of champions. We win Super Bowls. And so that kind of like started.
Not anymore, right?
Well, see, that's the thing. It started a trend of understanding that life isn't perfect. And so because of that, I had a correction early in my life, knowing that, hey, this is what's supposed to happen. And then when it doesn't, it kind of affects your psyche, your outlook, and the things that you thought you had your faith, hope, and trust in, which...
Yeah, careful where you hang your identity, right?
Exactly. Now, the other interesting part about growing up in the Pittsburgh area was the fact that the town, Washington, Pennsylvania, was also the county seat, which was also the area that had the most amount of industry. There was ceramics there, a ceramic plant, a glass plant, and of course 3 steel mills there.
Wow.
So the blue collar life was a big life for our family. That's what actually provided not only for my family, like my dad, but also my cousins and uncles. And if we fast forward from, let's say, the 1970s to now, my brother still works in a steel mill.
Really?
But it's not in my hometown. A lot of those steel mills are gone. Like literally 5 years ago, we went back to visit, and I went to the old steel mill to see what it looked like. It was gone.
Really?
When I mean gone, I'm talking there was nothing but a flat concrete pad.
Okay, so nothing repurposed, nothing where you see these people going back in and
No.
hey, we're gonna turn the old
Mill.
whatever it is, the old mill into a
mall
cafe or a mall
something.
or
No,
Dang.
nothing.
Wow.
Like, we're talking the equipment, we're talking all the storage and all the excess steel that was there when I was young, gone. Flat piece of concrete.
Wow.
Which basically felt like somebody erased a part of my heritage. And so that's kind of like, once again, realizing how short life is.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But let me tell you a little bit about my childhood, because I think of it as I had literally the best childhood ever. We grew up in a neighborhood that was small. And when I mean small, yes, we had next door neighbors. We didn't have a lot of what I would consider like grass. And so what we would do is we would leave our house, go around the corner, and then walk down the street and pick up friends. And in the summertime, we would go out and play whatever sport was available. What that really means is whatever ball we didn't lose was used.
Right.
Wiffle ball, football. We didn't do much of basketball because we didn't have no rims.
You know what? I'm not a big fan of basketball. 5'8". Yeah, you didn't miss out.
Yeah. And that way, we played Release the Burglar, all these childhood games of just outside all day, running around. And I did not know what impact that would have on my life. Because what it really did was set the table, if you will, for being outside.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah.
And now when I look at this day and age, how many kids are now trapped inside, trapped on a device, trapped not experiencing the interaction between other children, right?
Probably 99%. I mean, I'm just throwing that out as a wag, but I think that's a pretty fair statement that 95%. We'll go with that.
I like your 99% part. Because now phones are no longer phones. They're actually electronic pacifiers that when you go into a restaurant, sometimes you can see a whole family on some type of device, not interchanging ideas, thoughts, etc. So,
well, and even as, guilty as charged. 'Cause there's a lot of times that if you're not intentional, especially as you guys out there that are fathers, if we're not intentional, it's easy to get caught up in, hey, number one, maybe things from work, and that's me being gracious, assuming that you're going, getting after it. But 9 times out of 10, you're probably freaking death scrolling just like your kids are.
Yeah, being entertained and then telling yourself you deserve this because I've been at work all day, I've been under the gun all day, and I just need a little escape.
Dude, you've been snooping? Holy cow, man.
No, this comes from pastoring a little bit.
Yeah.
But, one of the benefits of going outside and being outside is you get a chance to develop skills you didn't know you had. And then as that became a formidable time of my life, I actually learned how to do interaction between people, being on neighborhood teams and also other club teams and even in the high school era. Now, funny story, when I was growing up...
Now, you say that, it's got to be good.
Well,
I mean...
I think it is.
Okay.
You be the judge.
Press.
Okay, so growing up, the Chatman family in that western portion of Pennsylvania was known for wrestling. So, of course, I started out, trying to keep the name up, but I wasn't a good wrestler. The fact that my freshman year of high school, I weighed, under 120. I wrestled 112, and I got...
Are you kidding me?
No.
Are you serious?
Yeah, 112 pounds.
Dang, I had no idea. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, see what I'm saying
112.
about?
Holy cow.
Yeah, when I told you a funny story, it was irony, not chuckles.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, you don't strike terror in anybody at 112.
No.
And I figured at that point, wrestling wasn't for me. I enjoyed the sport, but I knew I really didn't have any promise in it because I wasn't as strong as I should have been. And I remember the next year, I told my dad, Dad, I don't want to wrestle, I want to play football. And he laughed. He said, son, you're going to need a little bit more back end before you go out there and play football. I said, all right. So if somebody came up to you and said, hey, I gained 20 pounds in the off season to play football, you would probably be like, oh.
Yeah, eating donuts.
Well, either eating donuts or you're bringing something to the table.
Yeah.
No. When you go from 112 to 132, you're still not striking fear into anybody.
Dude, that's pretty legit for a kid.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
how much of it was muscle, or was it literally donuts?
No, we didn't do donuts back then. As a matter of fact, we did the 3 squares a day kind of thing. Not a lot in the desserts, but grandma's grandma's Kool-Aid though. That's where the sugar was.
Okay.
And that's when Mr. Robinson and Guy Montecalvo, two of my coaches, were actually, there were 2 teachers that are also football coaches, had seen me come into the weight room as a scrawny little kid, and they were like, okay, at least this kid's got heart. And Mr. George Robinson was the guy who I want to credit to helping shape the physical aspect of my life. Now, I will tell you why. There were certain minimums that you had to do in order to get on the football team, right? You had to bench so much, squat so much, but also run a mile under 7 minutes, which still, even as an adult, is something that I would consider a challenge. And then also, you had to do 10 pull-ups.
Okay.
And I was like, huh. And when I got up on that pull-up bar the first time and couldn't do one, he looked at me and said, Alex, that's not going to do. And I was like, oh, I'm not going to make it. But what I was impressed with is the fact that he spent time. And when I mean time, you don't rush like physical growth. Now, of course, by the time I got to college, there were guys rushing physical growth through pharmaceutical means, aka steroids. But what he was doing was investing in me, showing me proper technique, proper form, and giving me resistance training. That whole concept is what carried me through life, which is you're going to have to put in the time. You can't rush development. And in development, sometimes you have to overstress what you're doing in order, well, that guy's not doing well. So I told you I wouldn't critique you, but I am critiquing him.
I was flashing, he's just like meandering. He's like, all right, bro, I'm about to go past you.
Yeah,
So
you would have been right in doing so. Sorry for that.
No, you're good, man.
But what he did was he told me, get up on the bar. So I get up on the bar and he said, hold it. And then he would pull me down. And it would be a 10-second count pull down. And that over a 3-month period, I went from doing barely 1 to doing 15.
That's pretty legit right there. That's
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's when it started. And so I then went from 132 to 156. And then by the time I graduated my senior year, I was weighing 165.
Dang.
Yeah. And so in high school, that was actually okay. But when you want to go to college, that's still, you're not bringing heat.
Well, let's put a pin in that right there real quick. So Guy Montecalvo?
Guy Montecalvo, head football coach.
Is that his stage name?
No.
That's his real name.
That's his real name.
Ah, that's a freaking wild name, man.
Yeah,
That's,
great
epic.
man.
So where are your mom and dad at this point? Dad's probably working?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and if you said it before, I apologize. Was he working in the steel mills, or that was your uncle that was in the steel mill?
So my dad was working in steel mills.
Okay.
Yep. But here's the one thing about my family dynamic, which also, from a standpoint of appreciating your family, my dad was one of the older boys in his family.
Okay.
As such, when his father died when he was young, he had to quit high school in the 10th grade in order to provide for his family.
Gotcha.
So my dad's work ethic kind of peeled off on me, and it's because, you know, anytime you start talking about family dynamics, there's this conversation that said either it's caught or it's taught, right? Did it come through your genes or just by observation in your environment? Well, I received things from both sides of that, but the one thing that my dad demonstrated that still like today, as a matter of fact, getting up early to get after it is kind of the expectation.
Yeah.
My dad worked 2 jobs pretty much all my life while I was under their roof. 2 jobs. He would leave the house in the morning right around 6:30, go to the Washington Hospital where he was an intern, come back at 3:30, 4ish, have dinner, check on mom and us, and then go back out to the steel mill where he was a custodian until right around 11:30, 12.
Now, what was he an intern for at the hospital?
Basically, he worked on what they called 3A. 3A was the psych ward, and so whenever whenever they needed help holding or restraining a patient, that was my dad.
Wow, that's a hard check to earn right there.
Yep.
Well, and even working in the steel mill is a hard check to earn.
Yep.
Holy cow.
Yep. So my dad's
impressive.
work ethic was something that I was like, okay, he's what I consider a successful man.
Oh, heck yeah. Absolutely.
And that was one of those things of looking and understanding the root cause of people's success, right?
Right.
Now, here's where a couple of the other aspects of my development came in. Well, my mom and dad, married until death do they part, showed me what relationships meant, but also what values meant. Now, my mom valued Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Growing up in the 70s, all the way through the 80s, going to church was not a foreign concept. And so my mom made sure that my older sister and my younger brother and I went to church. And when we were young, we went to Vacation Bible School at the Christian Missionary Alliance, 1 block away.
Okay.
Only thing we had to do was walk uphill, go to
both
the
ways?
church. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, but this is Pennsylvania. Of course, it's both ways. And it even snowed in the summer. So, doing that was kind of an important part, and that's about the time frame where I accepted Jesus.
Okay.
And I still have my original Bible, August 31st, 1975. It was when VBS ended, and I got my Bible, and it was right about that time frame when I accepted Jesus.
Okay.
Now, back then, accepting Jesus meant that you were, quote, in the club, but it really never meant what it really means to me now.
Right.
Meaning, it was a free pass to say I'm a Christian, and I got fire insurance, like I'm not going to hell. But what it didn't come with was an understanding of my need continually for Jesus. And so when it came time, when I was now 16 and 17, I got the honor of driving my grandmother's Bonneville to church. Her in the back, my brother and I up in the front seat. And so this is probably not very good to tell people, but nonetheless, once we dropped off Grandma, we would go, it was a one-way street. You had to go down, up another one-way street, and then you can come back to the church parking lot. Let's just say we were setting land speed records between stoplights and stop signs. Up until the one day, we didn't crash it, by the way.
Right.
But it was close. We got up into the 90s in a block and a half. This Bonneville would scoot.
Dude, well, Bonneville's, that's a rocket ship, man.
Yeah.
Those things were big.
And by the way, you would know this. You remember the seat belts that were up here that were attached with basically a paper clip?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you pulled those down, you got to whoop it. So there's no seat belts in this game. And so that helped us have a little bit of respect once we got air, bounced and slid across that big bench seat. And then we would typically bring back that car, park it in the parking lot, get out, and the car smelled of engine and brakes, right? So we knew what we were doing. Well, God was then starting to turn my life more towards him. And I wasn't quite getting it, meaning he was trying to draw me in and pursue me to help me understand more about him.
Right.
And I thought all I had to do was Sunday. And so even as my senior year, I gained, like I said, I was up to 165, known for both my academics and my basically being an athlete.
So you weren't a dumb jock.
No.
You're actually getting decent grades.
Getting decent grades, and that's when my mom sat down and she said, Alexander, we don't have enough money to send you to college.
Alexander? Oh my.
It's Mom.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. And then as she's telling me this, I was like, it's okay, Mom. God will provide. And guess what? God provided.
Nice.
Answered prayer. Not only did I get to college, but I got an academic scholarship.
Okay.
And so that's how I ended up at Slippery Rock University. And
Slippery Rock?
Slippery Rock University.
Okay.
And
Hold on.
Yep.
So, life with brother and sister. How far apart are you guys? And how was that paradigm?
Okay.
And I'm assuming, was Mom a stay-at-home mom? Did she work too? What was the scoop with that?
Mom stay-at-home mom.
Okay.
My
Awesome.
sister born in January 65. I was born August 66, and my brother born November 97.
Dude, I didn't know you were. I thought you were my age. You were born in '66.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Is that good or bad?
Well, no. I mean, I didn't expect you to be that old. So.
That's your age.
I mean, what are we we're talking about? 4 years? Yeah, 4 years. Anyway, yeah, I digress.
Okay, so you're the 70s?
70.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
By the way, we're just now discovering this about ourselves.
Yeah. All right, so she's born in 66.
65, I'm 66, and my
okay.
brother's 67.
Oh, okay, so one right after the other.
Yeah, and that's when my mom tells me that Dad had a conversation. Like, woman, we need to slow down.
Yeah. Put the brakes on.
Yeah, so by the way, I don't know if you remember that my sister, she's a part of the church plant.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. By the way, I've been asking my brother. He's been refusing. But there's still time.
Gotcha.
But anyway, that was kind of like our family situation. And then going off to college with this answered prayer, let's just say when I got to college, I didn't know what to expect, right? Because I didn't have mentors.
Right.
I didn't have folks giving me enough insight to anticipate what was coming.
And how far away from home are you?
80 minutes by car.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so Washington, Pennsylvania is just south, 33 miles from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Slippery Rock University on the same highway, 79, Interstate 79, north and south. Slippery Rock was about 45 minutes north of Pittsburgh. So it's a straight shot. You get out 79, bypass Pittsburgh, and about 40 minutes later, you're at Slippery Rock.
Okay.
A rural college, quote, dry town. I knew nothing of drinking in high school. I knew nothing of women in high school. And then I get to college, and I'm thinking that it's going to be academically intensive, where I'm going to have to spend like every waking moment studying, and then maybe getting a workout in every now and then. That was how I envisioned it. Joe, it was not like that. As a matter of fact, my early classes, I was like, wait, there are guys not even going to class. My roommate, and I was like, this is odd. And then I was invited to some social functions. They had beer there. Do you know anything about beer? You drink too much, you could pass out, maybe even throw up. I learned all those things.
Oh no.
And then get this, I had no idea, and Joe, please hear me when I say this, that you could be pursued by a woman. None. Zero. So ask me if your boy had any defenses. None.
Oh yeah.
And so here I am, freshman. Apparently, some of the girls found me, quote, cute. And I was brought into a world I was neither prepared for nor understood.
Right.
But then I thought I was the boy. So my sophomore year, I changed my engineering major to business management. Why? Because I watched my business management friends. They weren't stressed. And I watched my engineering friends.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, okay.
It's that whole thing called math. Yeah, I've got a major phobia. Somebody will throw a rat out in the middle of a room and people jump up on desks. You throw a math problem out there and I'm up on a desk. Dude, yeah, no. So I don't get engineering types.
Yeah.
So you made a good choice. Good
Well,
deal.
the math in this one was even more simple. I could spend 2 hours studying a week or 12 hours studying a day.
Yeah.
What is it that you want to spend your time with? And the math said, those girls are pretty cute. So let's just say my sophomore year, your boy lost his ever-loving mind.
Oh, holy cow.
Yeah, and the whole thought of God was not even in the equation. Why? Because I got fire insurance. I'm a Christian. But I was doing nothing that either one demonstrated I was a Christian or the desire to be a no-kid in Christ follower.
Right.
And so the Lord tried to call me, and I thought it was the wrong number, and I didn't listen. So I changed my major, became a business major. I changed my friend sets from the guys who were doing well in life to the guys who wanted to just light life on fire and warm every part of their body as they walked by it.
Right.
And that seemed to appeal to me until my junior year.
Okay.
One of the benefits of growing up with your parents working at a steel mill, that if you're a college kid, you can work at the steel mill over the summer and over a Christmas break.
All
so
right.
my junior year, I am working at the steel mill, making great money. Just a real quick aside on that. Anytime you go to the bank, because that was back in the day, there was no mobile checking. You go to the bank, you deposit the check, and the teller looks at you and goes, "Is this your dad's check?" "No, ma'am, it's mine." And she looks at you like, "What in the world? How? You're young and you're making this much?" "Well, with quarterly bonuses, overtime, etc. Yeah, you were making good money." But what it taught me, though, in that time period in the steel mill, that's not what I wanted out of life.
Right.
Because the conversations were the same as the steel going by. No change, no variation.
Right.
Same stories. And your boy had a little zeal for life at this point and wanted to live at large. Well, anyway, over my junior year, over the Christmas break, we were, at the steel mill working afternoon. So it was a midnight afternoon day. And this is the afternoon. So we got there we leave at 12. And why not go down to the local watering hole at the age of 20, right? Everyone else is drinking.
Well, yeah, and drinking age back then was 18, wasn't it?
Well, in 18 in West Virginia, which was literally just a stone's throw away.
Gotcha.
But in our hometown, well, we know you. You just came from the mill, so obviously
you're a man. You're doing a man's job. So hey.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And they give you a pitcher and like these little plastic cups that we're like, what do I need this for? This is my drink.
Right.
And so that's when stupidity happened. And that night, my brother and I and some of our friends were drinking, and then my brother, who I knew had too much to drink, jumped on his motorcycle and was on his way home. And I told the guys, I was like, listen, I got to go follow my brother. Because, he's on his motorcycle and who knows. And we're only about 3.5, maybe 4 miles tops from our house.
Okay.
From the bar, once you pull out on that street, from the bar, it's 3 miles. Same street. One left turn, one right turn, and you go up the street and pull into our driveway. I got into the car, put the seatbelt on, because that was my last conscious thought of, well, I better have my seatbelt on.
Right.
And the next thing I know, I wake up in the backseat of a police car, and one of my buddy's dads, Dallas, who was a police officer, saying the words, "It's okay, Alex, you'll be okay." I had no idea. I couldn't feel pain or anything. I just knew that something was off. The next conscious thought I had was my worst nightmare coming through. Waking up, not knowing where I am, someone pulling glass out of my eye, and then hearing my mother's voice on the other side of the curtain.
Ooh.
It was almost like 2 a.m.
Okay.
And the fact that my mom is here, I was like, oh no. The fact that I don't know the extent of my injuries, and then to hear the police officer talk about the people that I hit who were just a couple beds down.
Gotcha.
So there I was, faced with the reality that my arrogance, my stupidity, and my vacuous pride got not only me in trouble, injured, but I've also now put somebody in the same position.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's a tough pill to swallow right there.
Yeah, it is. And so the next day, I found myself hurt, didn't want to take pain meds, not because the pain wasn't there, because the pain was there, but I earned it, and I didn't want to lighten out that load whatsoever. And that's when the Lord caught my attention, and it was like, Lord, I have no idea, like zero, like why I was that stupid. And I said, help. That's all I had.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And so that help started flashing back. From that point, and I got back to college where, some had heard about my DUI, and I thought I was okay, just a month or two afterwards. And I tried drinking again. No. Passed out at a conference wherein the police and ambulance were called. And that's when Carol, my boss, pulled me in. She goes, Alex, I'm really concerned about you.
Gotcha.
And I was
Let's rewind it just a tad bit.
Yes.
So here you are, you're living with the fact that you've just injured somebody. What happened to the other people?
I didn't know what happened to those people until on my first deployment, 7 years later.
Okay. You want to hold it for that until you go on your first deployment? Until it's about it done? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, let's so we'll stick a pin in that and press.
Okay.
So the boss tells you, hey,
yep, I'm concerned about you. And, at this point, I literally started to have to let my guard drop. And, obviously I'm not cut out for drinking. So, Joe, I don't know if you've ever noticed me. My drink is primarily water. And on occasion, maybe iced tea, sweet tea. But my preferred drink when I come home to crack a cold one is usually a LaCroix or a bubbly, carbonated, flavored water, because I just find enjoyment in that.
Not a bad choice.
Yeah, but
especially living through something like that.
Oh yeah,
that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, and so that was start one, was getting that out of my life. Now I got to address the girl situation at this point, because the girl thing was still a problem for me. My girlfriend at that time, going now from my junior year into my senior year, I collected girls. So please forgive me on that one. I had a girlfriend who I loved, but it wasn't enough love to keep me from my other girlfriends.
Right.
And so when my girlfriend graduated my junior year, she was still in the area, so she would come up on weekends and we'd hang out, and legitimately I was, trying to take care of her. But then there was Maria. Maria, just such a sweet young lady. Of course, she was my girlfriend on campus. There was my trainer, because at this point in time, I was into bodybuilding, and unfortunately it attracted some girls. And once again, I had no defenses. And then there's also the old girlfriend, current girlfriend, who, Judy, beautiful girl, she was almost 6 foot tall, and red hair.
Wow.
But the most attractive thing I found about her, she was better than I was in math. I found that so captivating. Sorry. Anyway, so, and then God put Tony Caldarelli in my life. Tony was the guy who knew a lot about life and had no problem sharing it. And what he would do is invite you into conversations. And he was one of my bosses over the summer, but I kept in contact with him because he was actively mentoring me.
Now, this is at the steel mill?
No, this is at college. Coming off my junior year. And Tony had pulled me aside and said, hey, Alex, I noticed all these girls coming in and out of your room. He's my boss, so he definitely could have said, something punitive. But he said, when will you figure out there's not that big of difference between two mucous membranes? And that right there caused me to ponder. And so what God did by putting that in my life pulled me into now what I consider active cognitive thought on what I'm doing and who I'm doing it with.
Right.
And so consequently, there were some things that had occurred where I was like, wow, I can't believe I have a girlfriend who doesn't know anything about the girls here. Then I have girls here that don't know about some of the other girls. And then there are girls like Kim, oh my goodness, a great young lady that at this point in my life, I academic scholarship, but I'm also helping the scuba instructor by being the in the pool scuba instructor assistant. And so now you're dealing with college girls who are wearing two-piece swimsuits, and they're looking into your eyes, and that shallow breath hitting you, and you're just like, Lord, help me, right?
Yeah.
And so at this point, I realized I'm with girls that will one day be somebody's mom.
Yes.
That they are currently somebody's either sister or daughter, and if anybody treated anyone in my family like I was, stand by for a beat down.
Well, and that's one of the things. I think you've overheard Josh talking. I do rites of passage with my sons.
Mm-hmm.
And
by the way, wicked cool story when he told me. Keep going.
Oh, so and that's one of the things that I put in the continuity book. It's about women. It's like, hey, how do you look at women?
Hold on,
and
right.
The important thing is that that will one day be somebody's mother. That will one day be somebody's wife.
Clear, right?
And that'll be one day, and that's somebody's sister. And how would you feel if somebody looked at your sister that way and took advantage? Yeah, so that's a lesson I try to impart early and often with my boys so that they don't.
Yep.
Slip into that
rightly
trap.
so. Rightly so. And but when we start talking about sin, that was when sin had a cost. And that's what the problem is with a lot of people, is that when you don't realize your sin and you come to grips with it, then you understand more of what the gospel means, is because what God's trying to do is invite you into a better relationship, a relationship that honors him as well as others. That made sense to me.
Gotcha.
And sin, that was like another big formidable piece in my development. Now, I will also tell you, as I started getting more of these people in my life, Friday, November 13th, 1987, was that day where things just broke. I was tired of lying to my girlfriend. I was tired of my trainer coming up. I was tired of hurting Maria's feelings. And I was like, this has got to stop. That weekend, a bunch of us resident advisors were leaving Slippery Rock University. So this is a map of Pennsylvania, right? We're here. We have to drive clear across the state down to D.C. 6 hours total on road travel. And we had, 30-some resident advisors going to this conference in D.C. Pretty much 98% of the RAs were on a bus, and only a few of us were on a van. The few of us that were on a van was my wingman, Rob Morales. Rob and I got on that van. I said, Rob, and he understood my plight, much of what you and I just talked about.
Right.
And I said, Rob, this is going to be a He-Man Woman Haters weekend. And he was like, absolutely. I said, because I'm unfit for any woman, and I don't want any more. And he was like, yes. And then Dawn Satino, she gets on the van. Good news about Dawn is I think Dawn could bench press both Rob and I. She was from New York City, and she did not play. She would rather cut you than say hi.
Right.
And I was like, well, I'm safe around her. And then right before we left, Kate, my current wife, by the way,
right,
gets on the van. And I am so mad. I'm like, wow. Her. Now, I make it sound bad, but here's the reason being. She was literally, hands down, the prettiest RA ever. Smart and skilled. Like, oh my goodness. I had an attraction on her, from the start, and I was like, great. I declare a He-Man Woman Haters weekend, and this shows up.
RA, define RA.
Resident advisor.
Okay, that's right, okay.
Yep. And so now we're on this trip, and the halfway point's Breezewood, 3 hours to get there, right? And during that 3 hours, I did not say a word. Like, nope, not doing it. I promised He-Man Woman Haters Weekend, I'm out. But when we got to Breezewood, I think she made it her personal mission to figure out why I wasn't talking. And so engaging me more and more. This is a van, so she was sitting in the seat right in front of me, just like literally off on my 1 o'clock. And the next thing you know, I'm like, oh man, seriously? Now I gotta pay attention. And she is a great conversationalist. So there we were, now talking. And in that talking, I was like, okay, she's cool, but that's it. Well, we show up to Georgetown that Friday night, and what happens when 30 college students show up at Georgetown on a Friday night? You know where you go, right?
Oh, heck yeah.
You go to the library. That was the most bouncing club out there. And I was like, wow, this is ingenious. A college bar called the library. You don't even have to lie to your parents at that point, right? Mom, I'm sorry. I got to get to the library.
Got to go to the library.
Yeah, I got to.
Got to study.
Yeah, because there's some math curves, 34, 32, 36. I got to understand. Like, you know, it's whatever. So we go to this club, and it's hopping, and I am literally just in that big crowd kind of dancing with everybody. That's fine. But in that crowd, there's Kate, and she comes over to me. One of the things that I liked about her, what was attractive, is she was an art major. And so she actually had a piece that she had made that she took off, and she handed it to me because you can't really be dancing with it. And I was like, cool. Anyway, during that time, I thought, oh, now I have cargo. No big deal. It's in my cargo pocket, so I was fashionably aware then. And when the night was done, nothing was said. All 30 of us went back to the hotel. We get up the elevator, girls on the right, boys on the left. And so we set our separate ways, and I'm walking back with Rob. And then I hear Kate call my name. And she was my necklace. I was like, oh yeah. So I trot down there, I stop in front of her, reach down in the pocket, and as I come up, she's actually leaning in to grab it, but she leaned in that range, and I went on autopilot, and so I grabbed her face and kissed her. And right there, I tensed up and went, oh no, He-Man Woman Hater Weekend. And I ran away.
No, define running away.
Like, hey, good night. And then I trotted down to the room, and I get there, and my wingman Rob's standing there going, He-Man Woman Hater Weekend, huh? And I was like, Rob, this is exactly what I'm talking about. This is exactly it. And so I was perplexed. So we're all gathering the next morning at breakfast. And so I was like literally the first person down there, hoping to get eyes on Kate to apologize. Like, anyway, there she is. She's coming down. And I run up to her and I was like, hey, about last night, I am so sorry for kissing you. And she looks into my eyes and starts crying. I was like, oh, great.
Such a schmuck.
I'm like, I tried to do good, and this is what happens. That shot the whole day. So I'm in this conference, like, doodling because my mind can't grasp. But anyway, this is now okay, I don't even know what to do. Well, Saturday night, a bunch of us hung out, and then it got down to about 6 people hanging out, and I realized at that point, I'm the only guy there. I was like, oh, no. Good news, nothing happened. And on the drive back up, light conversation, everyone was pretty much tired. So I get back to my room, girlfriend calls. Yeah, hey, no, I'm tired. I'm good. Then Maria, girlfriend on campus, stops by. Nah, I'm good. Trainer, nah, I'm good. Phone rings. It's Kate. Hey, what are you doing? Nothing. You want to come up? Hey, I'll be there in a couple minutes. So go up, chit chat for a bit. Next day, Monday, November 16th, my brother's birthday. Hey, do you want to come down and meet my brother? Sure. So she comes down. My brother and I greet each other, which is I punch him, he punches me. We run upstairs, we wrestle, and then we come downstairs, and I'm horrified. I'm actually in a state of shock. Kate is sitting beside my mom with a photo album. I'm like, we're not at that stage.
Already, yeah, apparently you are.
And I was like, wow. And I looked at my brother. He was like, I see nothing wrong. And I was like, oh, boy.
Boy, you just don't know.
Oh, man. And so at this point, God's doing something here. And Tuesday, I called up Bloody Tuesday, November 18th. I called my girlfriend. I said, hey, listen, I wish you were here because I want to let you know we're done. I'd rather do that in person, but because there's such, a time thing for me, it's immediate. Walk down the hallway, talk to Maria. We're done. That's it. Trainer, I just looked at her and goes, And so that was it. Kim, nothing. Like, everything's done. And then Thursday, I'm contemplating.
Let me hear you say it. November what? November what?
I don't know. It could have been like the 20th.
Oh, dude, you got the timing going. It's like November 19th is my birthday.
Really?
Yeah, I'm in Guam turning 18.
Oh, smart, dude.
Dude, yeah. So anyway.
Okay,
right,
so November 19th on Joe's birthday.
Woo! Yeah, anyway.
I actually voiced a prayer.
Okay.
Which was, Lord, can I have that one? Which was Kate. And I think he said yes, because here we are 30.
Not to objectify your wife, but yeah, anyway. Yeah.
Well, because...
But I know what you mean.
No, but that's perfect, because I had no idea what it took to, care for her.
Right.
Yep. So here we are 36 years later, still learning. I studied that girl with a PhD. Why?
I was going to say.
Because she has changed, no kidding, 5 times since we've met. 5 very distinct. Pre-child Kate with children, aging, meaning they're getting ready to leave the house, Kate in her master's postmenopausal, and now 5 separate individuals. And I study each one. I'm currently taking a subclass right now, trying to figure out some of these new nuances, but nonetheless. But going back to that point of objectifying her, I had no idea. But this is where God stepped in. He started giving people in my life that literally mentored me on how to be married. And that was great because it started by going into the Marine Corps. Where we...
All right, hold on.
Yeah.
So Kate's in the mix now.
Yep.
Where on earth does the Marine Corps come in? I mean, had this been a childhood thing? Was this just like an epiphany as to, hey, I want to go join America's favorite cult?
Yeah.
What's the scoop here?
Yeah, so here's the scoop. I knew one of the reasons why I wanted to go to college is I wanted to be a pilot. And because I wanted to be a pilot, that of course meant you had to go into the Air Force. So I was in Air Force ROTC up until the time of the DUI. Then I got bounced.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so all that things that I wanted to do
Yeah.
and it got taken away, Lord, I'm sorry, repentant heart, that was a legit thing. And then talking to my sister, who was Lance Corporal Chatman at the time, so she was a Marine before I was.
Okay.
She goes, why don't you just go Marine Aviation? I was like, what? The Marine Corps has airplanes? She goes, yeah. And I was like, snap. So I got started in that, and during that process, that happened right at the beginning of my senior year. And then my officer selection officer, Oso, asked, Alex, can you graduate in December to make a January OCS class? And I was like, yes. I got a waiver to take 24 credits that semester to finish up.
Are you freaking serious? 24 credits. Now, I didn't start college until 90. I graduated 89.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, one class was generally about 3 credits.
Yep.
So we're talking the same freaking math here.
Yes.
So you're
8
taking...
classes.
Dang, dude.
Yeah.
That's pretty sadistic, but I guess if you want it,
well, think
you
about
want
it,
yeah.
right?
That's your life's dream right there. I mean, it's in your grasp.
It is. And like I said, the reason why I had to ask for a waiver is because, one, that's not too smart. But when they take a look at your academic past and seeing how I wasn't really challenged all that much, yeah, go. And so I had my business major, dropped the math minor because I wanted to finish.
Right. What's your GPA right now?
I don't know. Well, I put it to you this way. It had to be above 3.0 to maintain the scholarship.
Yeah.
And so at this point, don't know. All I knew was, hey, I'm going to do this. And in that do this was now focus. So, and at this point in time, Kate was kind of there. And now I'm like, okay, I want to spend time with her. But now my focus is graduating.
So what's her thought on the Corps? When did she find out that, hey, you want to be a Marine, and how does that sit with her?
Well, there's nothing to base it off of. She really knew nothing about ROTC or the military. But
Did you have anybody in your family that was former military? That
my
said,
dad was
hey?
in the Army, but he never talked about his, because it was a short stint. I think he got out as a sergeant after 10 years or so.
Okay.
But it was
now
not.
what's that time span?
Oh, that was well before. I think he was getting out as he met my mom.
I mean, are we talking like, because you were
50s.
Yeah. So are we talking Korea time frame?
Probably.
What are we talking about?
Yeah.
Did he serve in Korea?
Korea or Vietnam? Have no idea.
You're kidding me.
No. Nope.
Is he still around to ask?
No, unfortunately, he passed in 2012.
Oh, I'm sorry, man.
Yeah.
No, my old man passed about 2 years after that.
No.
Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah, it was. But at the same time, my dad was, like I said, a provider, didn't talk much. And so when my dad talked, you listened, because if he didn't, he wasn't about to repeat himself verbally.
Right. Gotcha. Okay.
And so...
what were his thoughts on you joining the Corps?
Good.
Okay.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I think he said that. Wow, good. I mean, he wasn't a
Hey,
Neanderthal.
it's an endorsement, but hey,
Yeah.
okay.
Take
it.
Yeah, so I was there, and so that first semester senior year was a grind, and right around late October or early November, that's when the OSO said, Alex, hey, listen, that January class isn't going to happen. Oh, okay. But no kidding, I had enough credits to graduate that December, but decided, why graduate? I can stay here and finish on time and maybe even get that math minor back.
Okay. All right.
So going into that spring semester college year, that's when the relationship with Kate picked up.
Okay.
I now had enough time to talk with her and spend time. And since that art major, her emphasis was photography, I took a photography class, and that was the first time she told me she loved me. It was in the dark room.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I was like, wow, here it goes. And then we had a little bit of an issue with her parents not accepting me because of the color of my skin.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, I get it. My family, fine. That wasn't a thing. But it now meant I have to be serious about her. And that's when going into the Marine Corps helped me with people in my life willing to invest in this ruddy kid who literally desired to do so much, but always a threat to actually upend everything.
So when we're talking with her family, you're dealing with, I'm assuming, obviously the father.
Yep.
You dealing with any brothers?
So Kate was the youngest of four.
Okay.
There's a 5-year span between her and the next brother.
Okay.
And so pretty much most of those guys were out of the house dealing their own things. But it was mom and dad that felt, Kate had betrayed them. But nonetheless, this was still during that time where I'm coming back to the Lord. And I never said anything. Meaning like, hey, I'm actually praying that this will rectify itself. So why make it worse later on?
Right.
So that's what happened. And so when Kate would tell her parents about me, they were like, yeah, right? Because all they saw in the news is that, black people sell drugs, burn down things, and get people pregnant.
Oh, plus you're from Pittsburgh.
Right.
So you got to be one of those ghetto boys.
Something.
I mean, yeah, I'm sure the imagination
Contextual clues.
Yeah. All right, so as you said.
Yeah, and so Kate said, what's he going to do with his life? Well, he's going to become a pilot in the Marine Corps. Yeah, right. So when I was a pilot in the Marine Corps, that really started to warm things up. But what really broke the ice was our son. Once he was born,
gotcha.
There was a desire to be a part, and there was also a desire on my part that wanted them to be a part of our life. And so that's where kind of like a lot of this now started to come back into a position where the Lord was working on them, working on us, and then restoring the fields that were eaten. Like, this is something that only God can do, and I was so grateful for it. Now, I'm going to start skipping some stuff because I realized I've been running off at the mouth. Didn't even do the things you asked me to do. But
Well, no, I mean it flows. Big thing is that at what point, and we're probably gonna have to make this a two-parter.
Okay.
Which, as long as you're cool with that, that's what we'll do. So you go to OTS. She's hanging out.
Yep.
Obviously, she's not so turned off that she's like, yeah, hit the road, Jack. She's pretty fond of you. So you go through OTS. You go through what? The basic officer's course?
Yep. Officer Candidate School.
Okay, OCS.
Yep. Then the basic school.
All right.
Now coming down here to Pensacola for flight school.
So where in this mix do you guys end up getting married?
We got married 3 weeks prior to me going to OCS.
Oh, okay. All right.
You know how I know this? Because at our wedding, we were playing volleyball afterwards, and I sprained my ankle so bad that they didn't know if I was going to go.
Oh, wow.
And so the first week and a half, I stayed off of it. But coming into that second week, I had to start walking. And coming into that third week, I tried to painfully run and said, well, this is going to be a game time decision.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I get to OCS, and come the third day, we were having our medical clearance. And during that time, I was sitting there in front of the doc, and he had taken my jacket and wrote 3 letters on it. NPQ. I was like, what does this mean? It means you're going home. What? Wait, whoa, why? Not physically qualified. Whoa, doc, what's going on? He goes, that ankle is a problem. You will not be able to put up or do this rigorous training. Now, at this point, I've been married 3 weeks. I have nothing else beyond this. And this is where it came down to, all right, Lord, I'm here.
Yeah.
I know what it took to get me here. Help. So I looked at the doc and I said, do me a favor. Allow me to try. He goes, you know you're going to be back in here seeing me. And I was like,
no, I'm not.
I said, when I do, NPQ me then. He goes, fine, it's a deal. I haven't seen him since. As a matter of fact.
Holy cow. Did you ever cross paths with him again?
No, but when I was retiring from the Marine Corps, I'm going through my medical record and I'm scanning all this stuff in, and I got to that. I got to that NPQ sheet and I pulled it out. And it's in my office.
I was going to say, did you frame it?
No, I didn't frame it.
Oh, dude, you got to frame that.
I didn't want to be so brazen. But at the same time, that to me was another marker in my life where God showed up and said, yes, you're going to have enough to go.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good deal.
I, once again, just grateful for what he did along the way. Like, Joe, I am withholding so many other sub-stories, but do know this. Once I got in the Marine Corps, once we got to our first duty station, once both of our boys were born in California, and then having to come back to the Washington, D.C. area for the first time, God did something else. I was finishing my master's, and you'll appreciate this, I wanted to follow my path of becoming a pilot, becoming a test pilot, and then maybe perhaps being an astronaut. That was the plan, back from college.
Okay.
I now finished my first flying tour, did well, and...
Oh, wait, hold on. Let's hold that thought.
Okay.
Let's backtrack just a little bit.
Oh, that's right. There's a deployment there I got to tell you about.
Well, I mean, and one of the things is, too, I mean, was your ambition to... Because back in the day, fixed wing was probably Harriers.
Yep. Fixed wing, Harriers,
C-130s. Okay.
Yep.
So, are you wanting to fly Harriers? Are you going in wanting to be rotary?
Well,
what's
original
what's
thought
your frame
was,
of mind?
Yeah, original thought was let's go C-130s because I didn't want to go F-18s or Harriers.
That's right, F-18s too.
Yes, sir.
Gotta love those things.
Yep.
All right.
But when I was in flight school, I got a chance. I went helicopters, and helicopters I got my first choice. CH-53 Echo, big dude, great airframe, love it even to this day. But
they're awesome because when they come over, I mean, you can hear them.
You can feel them.
Oh yeah, and I'm like, I always love especially the the Super Stallions.
Yeah. Watching
those suckers roll in. So I didn't realize the Air Force had CH-53s, and they had the Payloads. Oh yeah.
We got a chance to fly with those dudes.
Talk about a
Okinawa.
freaking beast.
Dude,
but yeah.
Great
amazing.
avionics package, man.
Yeah. Too bad. Too bad. General File, I'll throw that name out there, decides to divest of that platform. I got a bunch of Pavlo buddies out there that are like, yeah, done with File. Anyway.
Yeah,
sorry,
bro, I can't say
my
I believe
military
you.
married.
I was
I'm
gonna
retired.
say.
I don't care. So
Yep.
you get those.
Yep. So let me go back. 53 guy, first deployment. Things were happening, both good and bad.
What year is this?
This is right about the. Wow, what year is this? I got winged in 91. So this is about the 92, 93 time frame.
Okay.
First deployment to Okinawa. Everybody's drinking except for this guy.
Gotcha.
Come day 5 of that deployment, I told him, hey, listen, I'm out. I'm not coming and drinking at an entire deployment. I'm out. And I was one of 12 lieutenants in the squadron. And I was like, well, it's
pretty ballsy.
Yep.
You know,
short
especially
Marine Corps.
for yeah.
Yep. Short Marine Corps career. God even saved me on that one.
Nice.
Also, during that deployment, I get a call from my mom. Now, please keep in mind, this is 92-ish?
Yeah, what did she call you on an MCI calling card?
No, she paid for that phone call, and I would call collect sometimes, and to include my wife, who was home with our first child, and that's when I realized.
So what year is that? What year is that?
That's still 92.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
being deployed internationally, and that's when I realized that a phone bill should not have a comma in it, right? But
dude.
yeah.
No, I remember those days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was a deal. But during that phone call, that freaked me out was my mom, Alexander. I just wanted to let you know that you're being sued right now for $14 million. What? Yep, the people that you hit, they got divorced, and each one of them, and both of them are suing you for $7 million.
Now this is how many years after the fact? This is 92.
7.
Dude.
Just as the statutes of limitations are getting ready to expire.
And you're an officer in the military. You're a
you're
a
kid?
gold mine now.
Yeah, and I was like, Mom, I'll never have that much money. And she goes, Alexander, I just wanted to let you know, I don't need you to do anything, but our insurance is going to handle it. If there's anything else, I'll call you. You know what that does for your prayer life?
Boop, 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 boop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So once again, that got resolved, handled. Don't know how, but I look back and go, wow, Lord, you are protecting me in areas that I was completely defenseless, and and recovering from being an idiot.
To this day, you got no idea how that got handled. Was there a mattress missing in the house?
No.
Yeah.
But the insurance company probably, settled it. But
dang, dude, what a horror story.
Yeah. And so once again, when you know what you've been saved from, that should usher you into a state of worship.
Yeah.
All right. Now, first deployment went well. Second deployment went well. Now,
second deployment, where's that one to?
It's back to Okinawa.
Oh my gosh, come on, dude. Okinawa, why don't you vary it up a little bit?
Yeah, no, second deployment Okinawa.
Not that we always get a choice in that.
Yeah, but I mean, both that tour and subsequent tours, I was always one of the subsequent tours, I was the 53 OIC on the 31st Marine Expedition Unit, Special Operation Capable.
Okay.
So getting a chance to do things with our recon guy, force recon guys, inserting them.
These are pre-MARSOC days. So
yeah.
You got what the reconnaissance bubbas. What there's force recon and probably the Anglico guys.
We only had 1 or 2 Anglico guys.
Okay.
Because their whole deal is coordination, right?
Right.
But our force recon guys and the guys who do bad things to bad people, was great.
Gotta love it.
We were doing operations like maritime interdiction operations, MEOs, 53s scooting across the water at at altitude that we were quote permitted to do. And
that had to be some cool flying.
Oh, Joe, it's great because you're below deck edge, and then you pop up, kick them out, dive down the next side.
So define deck.
75 feet's deck edge.
Okay, so I'm looking. And my stint in the Navy was 90 to 95. So I'm thinking deck edge. I'm thinking off of a carrier or off of LHP. Is that what we're talking about?
No, we're talking commercial ships. Like there was,
okay.
Yeah, like if
So
you,
probably about the same. Okay, that's yeah. Holy cow.
yeah, it's great. It's great.
All right.
Yeah,
Continue.
so-
I'm sorry.
Yeah, so we're landing in cool places, we're doing cool things, and enjoying life. But now, having received my master's in business administration and computer resource management, the question was, okay, Alex, what do you want to do? I want to go to.
Now, are you a captain at this point? Or
Yep.
are you a major?
I'm a senior captain.
Okay.
Alex, what do you want to do? I'm going to go to test pilot school. We'll fill out the paperwork. Well, one of the prerequisites is an engineer. Yeah. Imagine my shock. Here it is. I was like,
Yeah.
those girls, they cost me going to TPS, test pilot school. Anyway, so what do you do?
So is that non-waiverable?
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
this is how the Lord worked it. I got my MBA. My mentor, Coach Kane, came up and said, Alex, hey, I've been watching you. You're pretty savvy. You're pretty smart, technically savvy. We're going to send you to DC. I was like, okay, is that good or bad? Well, I became a program manager.
Well, hold on. Why is he called Coach Kane?
Well, because that's
Was that his call sign,
yeah,
Coach?
Coach was his
Okay.
call sign.
All right. What was your call sign?
Tumor.
Okay, dude, you got to explain it.
Well, so when you
Why?
when you have an occipital protuberance, this thing on the back of your head, Vince Codispoti says, Alex, what is that? Occipital protuberance. No, it's not. Oh, what do you mean, no, it's not? It's a tumor. I said, it's not a tumor. Boom, done.
It's not a tumor. Oh
Yeah.
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 Don't fight it.
Yeah. And
Don't fight it.
That's what happened.
We missed our turn. I think we did this in the other podcast. We missed a turn. We'll go back. So
Well, we're still rolling, so it can't be that.
yeah, I mean, you know my unofficial call sign was
What?
Nuke.
Nuke?
Yeah, NUC.
What's that stand
It's
for?
an acronym. Come on, man.
I know.
You're the officer with the education, sir.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know?
trust me, I've had some great friends like Lamb. I think I might have told you this one, who was this like a little short dude, and I thought it was like maybe after a meadow creature. No, it was because he had a short fuse, and it stood for Little Angry Man Boy.
Oh, no. You gotta love it. So, yeah. So one day a guy comes up to me. And this is, I'd always been, other than my Navy days, and even then I was Green Navy. So so on the ground, not aboard ship, fortunately, except for a couple little times. Went to the Army, airborne infantry. So then I come in the Air Force and I take a small little stint getting out of the field to be an RPA sensor operator.
Oh, okay.
Remotely piloted aircraft.
Yeah, in the beginning days.
Yeah, MQ1. Well, no, I probably on more mid. So about
Okay.
2012, took a sabbatical from the field,
Okay.
and so was a sensor operator on a Pred, and then later on a Reaper. And one of the guys says, "Hey, you're Nuke," and I'm like, "Nuke." And he knew how big my family was.
Yeah.
And so basically he's like, "Yeah, dude, never uses condoms." And I'm like, "Are you serious? I couldn't get something better?"
Oh, bro.
Yeah. So yours is tumor.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
All right, man. So, okay, so Coach.
Yep, Coach, once again, in our community, the 53 community, well respected, knew his stuff. So when he said this is something you should do, he got me in front of the CO. Our commanding officer is Ron Berube, who was a program manager, and him and Coach said, "Hey, Alex, listen, we want to let you know that we think you're the fit that the DC guy needs." And the reason being is because by the time a major gets to DC, one, he's more senior, doesn't have enough time to hit the congressional mandates for running a program.
Okay.
So we had civilians and Navy guys running Marine Corps programs. So I was literally the first Marine Corps captain in aviation as a program manager.
Really?
Yeah.
Dang, dude.
So that's where that kind of started.
Okay.
And the fact that one, business major, two, MBA, three, kind of savvy, it made me a clear choice. So I was very grateful that the Lord had orchestrated something that would carry me all the way through, not only the retirement, but also qualify me for my post-Marine Corps retirement. And I became a government civilian on a ACAT 1 DoD Defense Department of Defense acquisition program. Well, the largest one ever, and very grateful for that opportunity.
So we're gonna, because we're coming up where we're gonna have to go ahead and split this off into part one.
Okay.
But before we go to part one,
Before we end part one.
Yeah, there's a certain part of your history that you have completely failed to recognize. I didn't know about this until Josh and Isaac come home one night, and they're like, "Hey, yeah, we got to hang out with the new pastor, Alex, and he used to be on some show called
The American Gladiator.
American Gladiator," and I'm like, "Wait a minute, man!
Yeah.
I remember back in the '90s, watching these guys in tights doing all this, stuff."
Yeah.
So, how does American Gladiator?
Dude, you want this on part one? You want this on part one? Look, man, like we're almost done.
Dude, I know, but we got maybe another 5 or 10 minutes.
Wait, wouldn't it be a great cliffhanger to pull? Listen, there are two stories that you have not got yet. One's the American Gladiator, and the other one's September 11th in the Pentagon.
Oh, no kidding, you were there.
Yeah. Like,
dude, all right. Well, hey. Okay, no. Hey, dude, you're pretty good at this marketing stuff. Was that in your MBA?
Well, there's, location part. And then how you pull people in is product placement, bro.
Okay. So, hey, everybody. This is going to be a two-parter. And we're going to pick it up with American Gladiator, and then a day that changed my life, or everybody who's listened to this podcast, somehow, some way, 9/11 impacted you guys, and so we will pick up part two with those. So once again, hang with us. We will catch you on the next episode. And once again, to all those guys out there, try to be a little bit more consistent with posting. And once again, thank you for your support. Make sure you make comments and tell me what you think about episode 7. It was our first one where we actually put it on YouTube. I posted that today. This is, June 14th?
Yeah.
So that I have posted. Please leave some comments on your thoughts on Operation Tabletop with Seth Ewing. Love to get your feedback. And so glad to have you guys. God bless. And until next time, we will see you guys later.
Have a good day.
Have a good one.